All right, moving on, and this is a story which is rather disturbing. In fact, it's been playing on so many minds, especially of people who are fitness enthusiasts. Now, at just 45 years of age, understood to be an extremely fit person, Anil Kadsur died of a cardiac arrest. You might have heard of Anil Kadsur. He's known as the century cyclist, cycle yogi, cycle guru as well. What happened was, on 31st of January, Kadsur put out this post. On social media, he talked about accomplishing 42 months of back-to-back daily 100 kilometers of cycle rides. However, later the same night, the 45-year-old complained of discomfort. He was admitted to the hospital and he passed away on the 2nd of Feb. Now, Anil Kadsur's story is one that was claimed by so many people as, look at him, this is what you can still do in your 40s. Look how fit one can really be. He was an inspiring figure till the time we heard of his demise. And now the thought on everybody's mind is, just how much exercise is too much exercise? To answer all these questions for you, we've got Dr. Ajay Kaul with us in the studio. Thanks, Doc. Good morning for taking out the time and coming and answering all the questions that we have on fitness over here. So, you know, Anil Kadsur's story is very interesting because just the other day we were talking to Rohan Bopanna on the show. On one hand, you have stories of 43-year-olds who are becoming world number one. Who are at the peak of their fitness. He talked about how good he takes care of himself. On the other hand, you have people like the century cyclist. Such an inspiration one day, but how? So what I'm trying to understand is that how do we get the balance right? Post-pandemic, there is this entire need to exercise, to stay fit. But how do we know that we are taking it to an extreme? Any telltale signs?
Yeah, first of all, let me put it this way. You know, we hear all these stories every day. A muscular body or a person who has biceps or a person who looks otherwise fit and is doing a lot of exercise doesn't mean that actually he is healthy. This is very important. These are two entirely different things. You know, we always say that he used to sort of go 100 kilometers. Is he really healthy? Has he got a checkup done? Does he know that he has no cardiac problems, no abdominal problems, no other problems? That is very, very important. See, there are some basic exercises and there are some very strenuous exercises. So we have to differentiate between the two. Not only that, a specific age, say below the age of 16 or 18 years, you can take up very heavy exercises. You can do sort of, you know, for hours together. You can sort of go to gym for 1 hour. But as you start growing older, you are more obese. You have health problems like diabetes, hypertension, and you may have a silent plaque. You may, you know, all these illnesses like diabetes, hypertension and dyslipidemia, that is high cholesterol, have no symptoms, have no signs. They are very dangerous.
I think, Doc, what you're trying to say is that I think a perspective that people lose a lot of times is that just because, and I loved what you said a muscled up body or a lean body is not necessarily a healthy body. What we have to understand is that a body is like an orchestra, right?
Absolutely.
All parts have to do their thing.
Yeah.
So you have to ensure that your heart is healthy, your head is healthy.
Absolutely.
So how does one keep a check? Because this is purely somebody who had been doing it for a while. It wasn't a sudden knee-jerk exercise that he picked up. He had been doing it from quite a few years. What are your tips, say, for people above 30 and people below 30? Is there a mindset shift that one must take?
See, I would say that below the age of 18 years, actually you are absolutely fit. You can take up all these exercises.
You can be a little reckless then, but not afterwards.
The moment you start, you know, crossing that age, first of all, it's very important. And in India, when you listen to all these things, say beyond the age of 20 years, if you have a family history, I would like to emphasize genetic. It's very important to look at your father, mother, brother, sister. Any one of them, if they have some cardiac problems, or say if they have hypertension, diabetes or something, please get yourself checked once. Make sure that you don't have any of these problems, because you can escape that. Then there are certain things like, you know, rhythm disturbances. There are lots of things that can lead to sudden death. So you have to be very, very careful. The other thing is, while you are doing all these exercises, you have to understand that body has got enough reserves. It has evolved over thousands of years. So a person never gets, he keeps on getting these symptoms that he will feel that today he is not well, he is weak, there is something wrong. It's very important to immediately consult a doctor. What happens is they keep on going and till one point they just crash.
I think what's happening is that people are trying to hit a milestone. People
Absolute,
want to capture
absolute.
that moment, and maybe the
Absolutely.
body is not ready for it.
Absolutely.
So don't, you know, in the urge or in the hunger to hit a
Absolutely,
milestone,
absolutely.
don't not listen to your
Yeah,
body.
yeah.
Would you also say, another thing that comes to mind is that post-pandemic, we've seen a lot of these deaths happen. Do you think there's a connection post-COVID, post...
See, I would say there was a time, you know, say 2 or 3 years after COVID, 2 years after COVID, when it was post-COVID syndrome was there. Now gradually things are, I mean, I don't think that is now that much of a problem. Of course, long COVID, delayed COVID, all sorts of problems. They have caused some amount of cardiac damage. There are some patients who have myocarditis and pulmonary problems. So yes, those who have a history of COVID, especially if they were admitted in the hospital, it's
who
very
had long COVID
yes,
or had severe COVID,
yeah,
they
or-
need to be careful.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
They should be careful.
Right.
But in general public, this thing we are talking again and again that COVID. Now COVID is gone.
Yeah.
we should
learn to live with it.
Yes,
That's number one, and
absolutely,
then just move on.
absolutely.
I have quickly time for one last viewer question that has come in,
Yeah.
and I'm told this has come on YouTube, and I'm going to take it live now. It says, "Hi, Sonal, I'm 38 years old, and running has been my go-to fitness regime since the last 10 years. As I move towards my 40s, what are the kind of changes or precautions I need to start taking in my running routine to keep burning calories but not stress my heart?" Very good question.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How do you answer?
I would say, first of all, as I told you, get yourself checked once. Make sure that you have no diabetes, no hypertension. Please go to a doctor, because now he has crossed that age and he's 40 now. So make sure that he's thoroughly checked before he continues. He can continue with his exercise. There is no problem at all. But you know, there are certain hidden things that should not happen, that suddenly he realizes that he was diabetic for a very long time. So let him get that done and get a checkup done before he continues, and let him enjoy his exercise. I mean, it's always good. If he
Tapping
can,
on heartbeat, is that another
Yeah,
option?
the other
so
thing is-
many apps now, so many watches.
absolutely. You know, if you want to do a sort of moderate exercise, it is that, suppose your basal heart rate is somewhere around 80, you can go 1.5 times of your basal heart rate. And that is a moderately good exercise.
1.5 times of your
Absolutely.
regular.
And I always say, if you can do 3 kilometers in 30 minutes, that's a very good exercise. 5 days, there is no gym, nothing better than this. Walking 3 kilometers in 30 minutes, 5 days a week, that's good enough. If you want to do an intense exercise, it should be not more than 75 minutes twice a week. So these are, I mean, let's not go into details of this, but this is a rough, guideline that how much of exercise should you do.
Yeah, and also it will change from person to person. It will
Absolutely.
change from man to woman. It will change from a person with a different kind of gene pool to others. So what you are advising is that go to your doctor, sit down with him, discuss your fitness routine. We only go to doctors when there's a stress in life. You should go to a doctor when you're fit also, and
Yeah,
ensure that you
absolutely.
don't fall off the track as well. That was really good information. Thanks so
Sure.
much, Doc, for joining.